We are just a few moments from getting started, so if we could have everybody take a seat, and we will get going here momentarily.
to have everyone take their seat now. That would be greatly appreciated. We're getting ready to have the program begin. All right, welcome everybody. This is an exciting day for all of us. I'm Bert Loughton, Senior Director of Communications for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and announced yesterday that the 2026 NFL Draft presented by Bud Light will be here in the city of Pittsburgh, so we're very excited. And to be honest with you, it's exciting to have the 5 speakers up here with us today, all in the same setting. Everyone played a major role in getting the draft here to Pittsburgh. So I wanted to quickly go over how the format of today will work. We will have each speaker say a few words up here at the podium, and then we will open it up for questions. There is a mic stand over to my left, your right. If you have a question after they're done all speaking, they will return to their seats and you can ask them a question over from the mic stand. So after that is completed, though, we will do a photo opportunity both up here on the stage with the 5 of them, as well as over here with the iconic city in the background, the backdrop. So that being said, without further ado, I'd like to introduce first Steelers President Art Rooney II. Art?
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here today on such an exciting day. Yesterday, when they announced this at the league meeting, first thing they did was put that logo up in front of us. And when I saw that, I said, yeah, this is really happening. So it was great to see that. I'm really happy to be up here with the group of people that are going to be speaking. What the league really wants to see in terms of making an award of something like this as big as the draft is that the community is behind the effort. As you can imagine, hosting this many people is a big undertaking, and it's going to take cooperation from around the city, or really around the state. And the governor, the mayor, county executive, Visit Pittsburgh, they all were behind this effort from really 2 years ago. And the Steelers staff. So a lot of hard work went into getting to this day. We're so excited about hosting the draft for a lot of reasons. Number one, we think that Pittsburgh and Western Pennsylvania really are where the roots of pro football began, even before there was an NFL. There was a team called the Allegheny Athletics that played here on the north side in what was then the city of Allegheny. And they started paying their players, some of them under the table, but that was one of the first teams that began paying their players. There was another team up in Latrobe that started paying players, and so as far as his history knows, those were the first professional football players in the country. And so from there, obviously, football grew. All the mill towns up and down the rivers had their teams. They called them semi-pro teams because some guys got paid and some guys didn't. But they were hard scrabble teams, and really it's going to be great to celebrate the early days of pro football. Over time, football grew to be an important sport that was played at our high schools and colleges around here, which resulted in many great players eventually moving into the NFL. So, we're excited to be able to celebrate the history of the Mike Ditkas and Tony Dorsett's and Dan Marino, Johnny Unitas, Joe Montana. So it's a long list, and it's going to be a lot of fun to talk about those guys as well. As far as the Steelers are concerned, we're proud of our draft history. We've had a great history in the draft, and the 1974 draft, which we celebrated 50 years anniversary a few weeks ago, produced 5 Hall of Famers. Probably never happen again. Probably the greatest draft in NFL history. So a lot of great themes to talk about as far as Pittsburgh hosting the draft. We couldn't be more excited. So now the hard work begins to get ready to host this many people and have 50 million or so people watch us on TV. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be great. And as I say, I'm really excited to be joined today by some of the people that have helped make it happen and are going to help make sure it happens the right way. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Art. Next up, we have Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It is indeed a great day for Pittsburgh. It's a great day for professional football, and it is a great day for this iconic organization. And let me begin just by saying thank you to your owner, a great Pittsburgh citizen, someone who never forgets where he comes from, and someone who leads this iconic franchise, and that is the great Art Rooney. Thank you very much for your leadership. We are incredibly thankful to you and thankful to this organization. I also need to give a special shout out to Blair's husband, the Lieutenant Governor of Pennsylvania, who's with us today, Austin Davis. Thank you, Austin. Let me tell you, Pittsburgh was the absolute best choice to host the NFL draft. From Point State Park to this Acrisure Stadium to the North Shore, we have got it all. In fact, in one of the many conversations we had with Commissioner Goodell, he cited the view from Mount Washington as something that he was psyched about when thinking about the prospect of the NFL draft coming here to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And to Commissioner Goodell, I just want to apologize for being a pain in your ass over the last couple of years, constantly bugging you about this, starting at the Super Bowl a couple of years ago and leading over the last many months. And we have had a great team that has worked on putting a great package together. And hats off to Mayor Ed Gainey in the city of Pittsburgh, who said everything right, did everything he needed to do to convey to the NFL just how serious Pittsburgh was about this. And Mayor, thank you for your leadership. We appreciate you. And as the mayor knows, as we all know, this is going to be a huge regional event. And Allegheny County is all in. Sara Innamorato stepped up really just quickly after her election to this important post, and she made this bid especially competitive. County Exec, thank you very much for your leadership as well. We appreciate it. And let me say, Pittsburgh is blessed to have Visit Pittsburgh. They did an amazing job shepherding through this bid package and putting our best foot forward. And let me tell you, this is going to be huge, not just for the football fans out there, not just for folks who love the Steelers, but for all Pittsburghers, for all Pennsylvanians. Because what this means is we are going to see our restaurants packed, our bars overflowing. Every single hotel room is going to be booked. And I got to tell you, I'm especially proud of the fact that we are the only state in the nation to ever land 2 of these NFL drafts. Philly hosted it a few years ago. They had 250,000 people. And let me say, and I mean no disrespect to Philly, I love Philly, but this is going to do even better in terms of numbers than Philadelphia did. You heard Art Rooney say this yesterday, I believe, that this will be the largest event Pittsburgh has ever hosted. And we are ready. And I'll tell you what, it comes at a really important time. One of the things I was in the commissioner's ear about over and over and over again is we wanted to host this, but we wanted to host it in 2026. Why? Because that's the birth of our nation 250 years ago. We'll be celebrating that here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. All eyes of the nation will be on us here because, of course, this is the birthplace of our nation. here in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. In 2026, we're looking at some incredible events. FIFA World Cup, Major League Baseball All-Star Game, PGA Championships, the opening rounds of March Madness, and so much more. And we, of course, are going to have the biggest event of them all, the NFL Draft, right here in Pittsburgh. This couldn't happen at a more important time for our nation, and dare I say, a more important time for the city of Pittsburgh. This is a city and an organization on the rise. We are showing that we can do big things in Pittsburgh and all across Pennsylvania. And I, for one, can't wait to see the commissioner stand up and announce the final pick of the first round in the 2026 NFL Draft going to the Pittsburgh Steelers after they win the Super Bowl the year before. Ladies and gentlemen, Pittsburgh is ready. This is going to be an amazing event. Art Rooney, thank you for your incredible leadership. We're excited. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Governor. Next up, we have Allegheny County Executive Sara Innamorato. Sara?
All right, today is a good day. I am excited, and it is an honor to serve as your county executive. And we are so pumped to be able to announce that Pittsburgh is the host for the 2026 NFL Draft. And it's fitting, like Art Rooney said, at 50 years after the Steelers had the greatest draft class in NFL history, we announced that we are bringing the NFL here, right here in the city of Pittsburgh, the city of champions. So whether it's a play on the field or the draft experience, Pittsburgh will deliver for our NFL fans. Because as Coach Tomlin says time and time again, the standard is the standard, and we know the standard here in Pittsburgh. We're excited to showcase why Allegheny County is such an incredible place. Pittsburgh is ready to prove a world-class experience for fans across the world to come here and to experience what we have to offer. And in 2025, a new terminal at the Pittsburgh International Airport will greet them. In 2026, fans coming to Western Pennsylvania will experience an expanded airport, showcasing our first-class amenities, sustainable practices, and a truly inviting atmosphere. And from our rich cultural assets to our award-winning food scene, we can't wait to host fans from across the country and around the globe to experience the best that our region has to offer. I'm excited that people from all over will have the opportunity to truly gawk at our 6 Lombardi trophies and also experience our neighborliness. Because the best part about Pittsburgh is our people. And I keep telling out-of-town visitors, like, don't be alarmed when you see us smile. We're chit-chatters, and by the end of your Uber ride, you'll probably be best friends with your driver, because we are Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, after all. And that's what this draft is ultimately about. It's about community. And as a former intern from the Steelers, I know how hard the people have worked behind the scenes to make this happen, and I thank you for that work. And I also know that the love of football, Steelers football, is woven into the very fabric that is Pittsburgh. You can find a Steelers bar in basically any country in the entire world because we have a globally recognized fan base. In our fandom, it's what brings us together. And it's about so much more than just talking trash about Cleveland. Our love of Steelers and our pride in our community is what makes Western Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania. And that's why we're so excited to bring the NFL Draft here to Pittsburgh, to showcase what the people of Allegheny County have to offer, to provide a world-class experience for fans from everywhere across the globe, and to highlight how sports unite us and inspire our communities. So congratulations to all the folks who are up here and all the work that's been put in. I often say that governing is a team sport, but so is getting an NFL draft. So I'm excited to have such incredible partners with us, and I look forward to showcasing what we have to offer. Thank you.
Thank you, County Executive. Next up, we have Pittsburgh City Mayor Ed Gainey.
Good afternoon, everybody. First, I just want to thank Art Rooney. Without Art Rooney and his family, we wouldn't even be here today. And I think that we really need to give him a standing ovation for what he's done to put this city on the map. Football, before they took over, was a nightmare, and then in the 70s, in one draft, he changed it from a nightmare to a dream that witnesses 6 Super Bowls. Let's just stop there and give Art Rooney a round of applause. I also want to thank Mr. Morehouse, Dan Rooney, Jimmy Sacco, Zeke. I want to thank you from my office because you guys did a remarkable job. And you're right, Sarah, it's a team effort. And every week you guys did what y'all said y'all would do. Y'all brought the draft to our most lovable city. And I can't say thank you enough for all that you have done to ensure that we got the 2026 draft. Thank you so much. I remember when it was at a preseason game and me and the governor was down at what game was it? I think it was Tennessee, one of them games anyway, and I said, God, we want to get the draft. He said, so do I. And he said, I think it would be great for us to have the draft here. And just to see the way he got on board to help us push the NFL to really consider this city that got 6 Super Bowls and should have been had it, to be able to plant the draft for 2026, I think we should say thank you to the governor for his work on that. Y'all can give him a hand, give him a hand. And to the ace, Sarah coming aboard immediately and just taking stock in this and having the will to do what's necessary to ensure that the county was involved to bring the draft here. I just want to say thank you, and I think you should give her a hand. And my guy, Jerad from Visit Pittsburgh, if we say it, we do it. And with the help of the Rooneys and everybody else, look what we've done. Everybody wants to talk about numbers. Here's my number. I predict we have over 1 million people come to our city. That's right, I'm predicting that we have 1 million people come to our city. And here's why. See, people remember the Immaculate Reception in Franco Harris. People remember the time that John Starworth caught the over-the-shoulder catch against the Rams in the Super Bowl. They remember Lynn Swann and his acrobatic catch against the Cowboys. They remember James Harrison's run the whole field for a touchdown against Arizona. We have so many memories that people hold them dear to themselves, that no matter what city you go to, no matter where you're at, one thing that you won't find is still a bar or restaurant. People remember in the old times that they had to leave because of the close of the steel mills. Their kids talking about it all day long, and their grandkids, because even though where they reside is where they live, Pittsburgh is home. This is home to them. And now they get to bring back their grandkids and their kids so that they can see what special place raised them up, and regardless of where they live, why they still call our beloved city home. We get to do a new forecast and demonstrate in a new way just how we move from a smoky city to a technology city, to an educational city, to a med city, to an AI city. We have so much in technology that we have done. Come and welcome to the new city that we call Pittsburgh, that we has labeled as welcome home. We have continued to grow in the midst of everything and still kept our roots to who we are. That grit, that determination, that strength. When I first got elected, I said, Mr. Rooney, we got to get the draft here. He said, you sure? I said, yeah, Mr. Rooney, I'm sure. Because you deserve it. Not that the city deserve it. He deserve it. Because he put us 6 Super Bowls called on the map. I don't know another city that can say that. They can say they tied, but they can't say they winning. This is the city of champions. We are the city of champions. We are who we call home. And just like we said when we come in office, if we say we're going to do it, we do it. Let's go get it.
Thank you very much for those words, Mayor Gainey. Next up, we have President and CEO of Visit Pittsburgh, Jerad Bachar. Jerad?
Good afternoon, everyone. It is an absolute honor to be here. You know, as a tourism promotion agency for Allegheny County, we feel very blessed. We feel very blessed to have the partnership that we have right here on this stage with the Steelers, the city, the county, and of course, the state. And of course, I would be remiss if we did not acknowledge the powerful partnership that we have developed over the last 2 years, in this particular case, with the NFL. We want to thank the NFL for their belief and their trust in this amazing city to bring one of their most iconic events to our shores, to the shores of the Allegheny River. At Visit Pittsburgh, we have 2 North Star objectives. Number 1 is how many people come into Allegheny County every single year for tourism purposes. And number 2, quite simply, how much do they spend? What is their economic benefit to our local community? In 2023, we were fortunate to have over 20 million visitors into Allegheny County. Those visitors left a $6.4 billion economic benefit to our local businesses and residents. And the NFL draft is going to even drive that number further. As been mentioned here today, the NFL draft has become one of the most iconic sporting events anywhere in the country, with over 50 million viewers tuning in to watch that over the 3 days. And in 2026, all eyes are going to be on Pittsburgh. Over 3 days, we will welcome all 32 NFL teams. We will also welcome top player prospects and their families. I'm not going to try to go to 1 million, but we're going to have hundreds of thousands of devoted fans right here in Pittsburgh. Based on the fact that Pittsburgh is a short drive from 11 other NFL markets and 35 NCAA Division I schools, and of course, around the world, our Steelers fans, has been mentioned, we anticipate an incredible turnout for Draft Pittsburgh. Historic draft events create incredible economic benefit for the local market. Right now, it's been reported that the economic benefit from the draft ranges anywhere from $120 million upwards of $165 million for that one event, which is tremendous. We do need to remember, though, the lasting effects of the NFL draft go far beyond these impressive statistics. The NFL draft is a life-changing event for these young athletes. As we sit here at this very moment, thinking about the impact of this event, we're talking about how it's going to impact our beloved city. But we also must remember the significant impact that our city is going to have on the lives of all of these young athletes and their families. At this very moment, rising stars are dreaming of their name being called, hopefully right outside these windows, on that draft stage right here in the City of Champions. And just as these athletes depend on the support of their teammates and coaches, we also depend on the support of our community, all of our partners, making sure that we deliver an incredible draft experience for everybody here on the ground and for all of those tuning in around the world. Over the next couple of years, we'll be reaching out to our entire community to make sure that we bring the best and the brightest ideas to reality. We will work in lockstep with all of our partners to make sure that that transition of Draft Pittsburgh from bid stage all the way through build stage. We certainly have a lot of work ahead of us, as we've recognized. But thanks to the strong partnerships in this room and throughout our community, we do what Pittsburghers do. We pull together, and we're going to deliver an amazing draft experience. Pittsburgh is the bridge to football's future, and that future starts right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jerad. At this point in time, the mic stand is over there. If you, any media would like to go ask a question, it's located over by the side there. State your name, affiliation, and who the question is directed to, and we'll keep it going for about 10 or 15 minutes. So go ahead, Sheldon.
Good afternoon, Sheldon Ingram, Pittsburgh's Action News 4. Mr. Rooney, you mentioned yesterday in Tennessee that the draft stage, the main theater, the desire is to set it up outside of Acrisure Stadium. Can anyone speak right now to exactly where the main stage would be set up in relation to where we are now and the primary ancillary locations downtown, Point State Park?
Sheldon, I think we're still finalizing that. The league will come in and finalize the actual footprint of where the stage will be, but I assure you it'll be right out this window, pretty close to where we are today. And then there will be activities really across the North Shore and into downtown and into Point State Park. When you host this many people, you're going to have plenty of room and places for them to sleep and eat and drink and park. So it'll be a massive effort to accommodate all the needs of our guests that weekend, and it'll be spread out all over the city and probably all over the county.
My final question, the NFL is requiring cities to have a signature event for the NFL draft as the host city. What will be the signature event or the signature for Pittsburgh? What unique spin on the NFL draft will you present? I know you mentioned the roots of football history here in the city. How will that look? How will it manifest itself for the visitors?
Well, as you say, one of the themes that we're going to pursue as far as the draft of Pittsburgh will be the roots of football and the great history of so many players that started their careers in Western Pennsylvania, and a lot of that'll be shown throughout the region. But we're planning on the Saturday, the last day of the draft, to have a big celebration. And again, all of those details are still being finalized. But I think the Saturday will be a great day to kind of wrap up the draft and celebrate what happens over that weekend.
All right, thank you, Sheldon. Next.
This is for Mayor Gainey. What were your discussions like?
If you
with
could
the
say your name and
Oh,
affiliation, if you don't mind.
This is Dominic Campbell. I'm with All Steelers. Mayor Gainey, what were your discussions like with the NFL to try to bring the draft to Pittsburgh? And have you had any discussions with mayors across other cities that have hosted the draft before?
When we went up to Detroit, I had an opportunity to speak with the mayor up there. The main conversation I had with the mayor up there was about public safety and what made him want to have the draft in the heart of the city. And he was telling me that he wanted to make sure that small businesses in the community benefited from the draft, where in other cities that hadn't always taken place. He wanted to ensure that the businesses right here in the heart of Detroit benefited. Secondly, when we talked about public safety, he started talking about the coordination between different agencies. He also talked about some other activities that he had in regards to people walking through, I forget the envoys that they had, I believe they call them, just to make sure that there was no guns. Whenever the NFL came to the city and Mr. Rooney and them made sure we were here, we were just talking about why we desire to have the NFL and what qualities this city has to ensure that it'll be one of the biggest drafts audiences that they've ever seen. When I say a million people might think I'm laughing, but I'm really telling the truth. Let me see that for a minute. I can guarantee you that you will have close to 1 million people waving a Myron coat towel saying, "Here we go, Steelers, here we go." Because coming home is something that people have been wanting to do for a long time. And conveying that message to the NFL was easy, because all I got to do is look when I'm outside of this city, outside of this state, and I hear people talk about our city and how much they can't wait to come back home. They just needed a reason to come. What greater reason than to celebrate the Rooneys in the draft right here in our city?
Thank you. And Maria, thanks for the assist there on the terrible towel. Next up.
She did good, didn't she, huh?
Chris Hoffman, KDK TV. We're talking about hundreds of thousands, potentially even 1 million people being here. Are we thinking that's going to be more tourists? Are we thinking that's going to be more people here in this regional area? I guess, where do we think they're all coming from? Whoever is able to answer that one.
Yeah, I'm certainly happy to take that. Thank you so much. So there's a strong mix of people who will come in. A lot of the people who will come in will certainly be coming in from outside of the market. We are guaranteed, though, that if you look out on those hundreds of thousands of people, or maybe 1 million people, you're going to see a sea of black and gold, without doubt. Those are Steelers fans that aren't necessarily from the local market. As we know, we've got fans all over the world, so we'll have a lot of people coming in from that. But what we have seen from all of the other experiences in other cities that we've engaged with so far to learn from their best practices is that there is a strong mix of people who are coming in from out of market, especially on day one. And the previous question about what are we going to do to create a Pittsburgh flair, what we're going to do to make sure that we build excitement all the way through. As Mr. Rooney said, that programming on day number 3 is going to be important to make sure that we keep those out-of-town people here, not only on Thursday, but on Friday and Saturday as well. So we don't know exactly what the mix is going to be, especially in a Pittsburgh scenario, because we've got so many fans, but we're guaranteed to see a sea of black and gold.
Perfect. And then for our elected officials, if I'm someone in this area and I'm not a football fan, why should I care that this is here? Why is this such a big deal for the region and everything?
Let me sort of touch on the question you just asked and answer that one. We are right here about a 4-hour drive for 75 million Americans, and over 10 different NFL franchises, their fan base can get here by car, right? And some of them, if they want to make it a day trip, I hope they don't. They should stay in our hotels and eat in our restaurants. They're going to be here. Mr. Mayor, with all due respect, there may be 1 million towels. I don't think Browns fans are going to be waving those towels, but we still want them to spend money.
They better have a towel.
We still want them to spend money here in Pittsburgh. So we're easily accessible, both for Steelers fans who live somewhere else and for fans from other areas. And by the way, I'm literally in the middle of an RV tour all across Pennsylvania right now, selling our great tourism assets that leads to a $77 billion influx into Pennsylvania's economy. And our sports teams, like the Pittsburgh Steelers, are a huge part of that, what drives people to visit. For folks who live here, who don't care about football, who may not be a fan, this is good for them because it's going to mean a jolt to our local economy. If you work at a restaurant, you're going to be busy. If you work in a hotel or you've got an ancillary business that supports that hotel, you're going to be busy. We estimate, you heard it from Visit Pittsburgh, about $120 million at least in economic impact. That's great for the taxpayers of Pittsburgh and Allegheny County and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We want to host big events like this, and in 2026, we're hosting a number of them. And I think it is important to note that we are ready for this. We can do big things in Pennsylvania, and it benefits our economy. Tourism, hospitality, sports, arts, culture, these are huge parts of our economy. And this draft is going to really be a huge, tremendous shot in the arm for each of those sectors.
In addition, it's also the experience. It's also the ability that even if you don't like football, you are going to have an experience of coming home, coming back to the city you were raised in, being able to see all the changes. Like I said before, people just needed a reason. They've been wanting to come home. And to be able to come home and see how much this city has transformed itself. The grit is still here. See, that's an experience whether you love football or not, you'll come back for. Because football is the incentive. But the reality, everybody want to come home just for the experience. And that in itself is an economic driver.
Thank you.
If we could just have a few more questions, one question each, that'd be greatly appreciated to make sure that we get everyone involved.
All right, I had 5, but I'll just stick to 1. Andrew Lindbergh, News Radio KDKA and 93.7 The Fan. This is for any of the elected officials. What kind of logistical and public safety preparations had to go into the bid, and I assume that these plans will continue over the next 2 years?
You want to go? You want me to go? You know, that's why I went to Detroit, to be able to talk to them to see just how they did it. So, I mean, when we talk about, and we got great partners in the county and the state. So when you talk about the collaboration of that and being able to talk about exactly what's to happen for law enforcement from all 3 sectors to be part of this is going to be major. The planning is still going as the plan for how they're going to design the whole NFL draft. We will be able to tell you a little bit more. Secondly is when we talk about inside, we've been talking about this for a minute, that when it happened, what we have to do. So our public safeties have been meeting, whether that's EMS, whether that's fire, and also police, of course. We have already been meeting just to talk about preparing our workforce for, preparing our EMS and our fire and our police, so that once this was announced, because I already said it was coming, I believed it was going to come, so that's what I've been talking. So they have already been in the process of preparing mentally to be able to be ready to be able to do what's necessary to make sure that everybody is protected in this city. And as it continues to go forward, then you will start seeing more concrete plans of exactly what we're going to do.
Thank you.
Paul Goff from the Pittsburgh Business Times. A little bit off of that to infrastructure. The county executive mentioned the airport being open at this time. What about flow? What about hotels? Is there enough hotel space? Should there be anything else that needs to be built to host this?
Sure, thank you very much for the question. You know, one of the important aspects of getting this event here is the NFL has spent a considerable amount of time here looking at the infrastructure, looking at the assets that we have on the ground already, and they're satisfied with everything that we have on offer, including the number of hotel rooms. You know, just in the downtown area alone, we have a little over 6,000 hotel rooms. The NFL is already starting to engage with those properties. They obviously have staffing needs or accommodation needs of their own for staff and prospects and so forth. The airport was a big part of this. Obviously, having that as our front door, a brand new airport, is a huge plus for this whole region for a lot of events, but in particular this one. But the NFL is very satisfied with what we have to offer. They know that Pittsburgh can host the draft as it is. And even on the security front, you know, as Mayor Gainey said, there's a lot of conversations that have started, a lot more work to be done there. But we also have to still recognize that this is the NFL's event. The NFL plans events like this, of course, every year, in addition to the Super Bowl and many other things. They understand safety and security, so they're going to lead the conversation from their side. But there's going to be a lot of support that's going to be needed here locally.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Julia Zankovich, 90.5 WESA. My question is for our elected officials. You know, Detroit spent $1 million preparing for the draft. Will there be an investment from county, city, state governments to help make this event happen?
Well, I'll just say the Pittsburgh Steelers have not asked for public money at this point. From the Commonwealth's perspective, we'll be prepared to step up to make sure that this event goes off that this event goes off great, and that everyone who visits Pittsburgh has a wonderful experience, that safety, security, hospitality, all of those issues will be addressed. That when we have folks go to Point State Park, should the NFL and the Steelers determine that that will be a venue they want to go, Point State Park will be in tip-top shape. The Commonwealth will make the investments we need to make there. We're prepared to make this an awesome experience for everybody and to make the investments that are necessary within reason to do that.
If I could add one thing to, I should have probably pointed this out before, but we've also engaged with our business community, and it's also something that the league looks for in terms of making this kind of commitment to a city, is that the business community is behind the effort, and we have great leadership in our business community that are willing to step up and contribute to covering some of the costs of the draft as well. So appreciate their involvement, and I'm sure you know, as time goes on, they'll be more involved with our host committee and things like that.
Anybody else have a question? All right, well, thank you all for coming, especially thank you for we will do, and we'll also do one off to the right. So thank you very much, everyone.